Welcome to the Profits in Pajamas podcast. I'm Danielle DeTeach, or Coach Danny D, and I help women to create luxury brands by creating processes and tightening their branding. This is where we talk about how to build your business in a way that allows you to work with ease and enjoy your life. My happy space is spending as much time as humanly possible in my pajamas, and I want to help others to find their happy space while still running profitable businesses. So get comfortable and let's dig in. Hello and welcome to the Profits in Pajamas podcast. I am your host, Coach Danny D, and I'm always here helping small businesses to get to that work with ease lifestyle. As y'all know, I love the PJs, and the PJs are important to me. And I love the fact that you can have a successful business and still have work with ease and have that business work within your life and not take over your life. So today we're going to talk about something that is really important to businesses, which is digital marketing, which includes your website. So I know everybody doesn't understand that term digital marketing and what that means, but we have Charique Richardson here today, and she's going to break all of that down for us. She is the owner of Digital Innovation Media Group, and they do web and digital marketing for law firms, medical specialists, and large nonprofits. She is just a wealth of knowledge when it comes to digital marketing. We had a great conversation when we were fleshing out this topic. So I'm so excited. Charique, can you just tell us a little bit more about yourself and your background so that we can really just dig in? Because I know, especially when it comes to web pages, I know that that's a topic that people, both, struggle with and want to know more about.
Sure. So again, I'm Charique Richardson, and I started my business after working about 20 years in corporate. I was a very successful pharmaceutical sales rep with Pfizer. And after that, I went to work for Duke Hospital. And in that role, that really kind of reintroduced me to my first love, which was web design. It started before, Pfizer, and just kind of came back to me naturally when I was working at Duke. And that's when it became really the core of what my business is all about. I did add, of course, social media, content marketing, as well as SEO, but that was more of, things that I also realized through working with clients that these were other needs that they had. And so after Duke, I decided to go part-time and then eventually full-time into my business. Now, this was in North Carolina, that's where Duke is. We moved to New Orleans, Louisiana in 2019.
Okay.
And I was really blessed to meet local business owners here, such as yourself, and begin to work and really grow my business here, mainly with web design and social media.
That is absolutely awesome. And I love hearing people's entrepreneurial story. And it's so funny how a lot of times it is something that we started with that we end up back with. So I think that is just great that you got back to something that you really enjoy.
Yeah.
So if there was one thing that you could share with the audience about web design and digital marketing, what would that one, thing that you're like, I wish everybody knew this, it would make things so much easier?
Yeah. So the first thing would be when you hire someone to do your website, that it doesn't stop there. It is an ongoing process, just like anything else that you build for your business, even for your personal life. So maintenance is one thing that I see that's neglected. A lot of times they say, oh, I'll get someone to do it, or I have a husband or a cousin or someone who knows web design. But 9 times out of 10, when I go back into the site, when something happens, I can tell that it has not been updated, has not been kept up to date. It becomes more vulnerable to hackers and things like that happen because you did not invest in this great tool that's helping your business grow online. You did not invest in making sure that it stays healthy and performs well month to month. So that's the one thing that I've noticed. Another thing is just having your content ready to go and just knowing what message that you want to say in your content, and just having that ready for the person. So when they get with you, they can really meet the timelines that you need. And what I find is that another bottleneck is not having that content ready to go when you hire someone, or at least employing them or using their team to put together converting keyword rich content for your website.
Okay, and so I want to dig into that last part a little bit deeper. I'm gonna dig into both parts because I agree with you. They're both so important. But that last part, what I've come in contact with a lot with entrepreneurs is just the lack of understanding of what the process looks like.
Yes.
And just from the standpoint of and I'll say the sticky stuff so you don't have to say the sticky stuff. If you don't know your business identity, then when you're hiring someone, they can't do that part for you. They
Yes.
can, they can help you get that identity out there. They can help you to have a beautiful and well-functioning website and social media presence, but that identity is yours. And so you have to be able to communicate that to a professional for them to be able to take it further. And I think sometimes we think, okay, I signed the check,
Right.
I signed the contract and I'm all done.
Yeah.
And then we're leaving the professional high and dry, and they're trying to figure out what are we doing?
Exactly. And that's the big thing is that, and we walk you through the process. When customers or clients come to us, we take you through what's going to happen. So you understand what this is going to look like from the first mock-up that we give you, where we show you the actual Adobe XD version of your site. So you can look at it and we can discuss what revisions can be made at that level, so that when we start to build, we're building the site that you love, not just giving it to you and then doing a whole bunch of revisions. We try to get that out the way in the beginning. And so, yeah, we do walk with you, and it's a partnership. It's not just, hey, set it and forget it. We have a series of approvals that you have to give us so that we know that we're going in the right direction. And that way, like I said before, having that content ready will definitely speed that up and will help us to be able to get you to your launch faster. Whatever it is that you're trying to do for your business, if it's the holidays right now, we can get you there faster, but we definitely need you to work with us.
Yeah, and I love that word partnership, because it truly is a partnership that you're working on.
Yes.
And I just love the way that that's framed. And to the listeners, I really want you to, pay attention to the fact that there is a process, and that process is in place. And the
Yeah.
reason why I'm pointing that out is because I've seen so many people talk about they hired somebody, the experience didn't go well, and we have a tendency to look at the dollar amount, but not look at what we're getting for that dollar amount. And
Right.
so, listen for those things when you're talking to a vendor. When you're talking to a vendor, if they're not speaking like Charique is speaking, then that might not be the right choice. Going in, okay, this person was cheaper, but did they have a process? Did they have a plan? And were they thoughtful about what that experience was going to be like for you?
Exactly, because it's very important that you vet several people. And I have no problem at all when someone tells me that they're also looking elsewhere, because that makes me feel good that when you did that and you still come back to me and select me and we work together, and it's a great experience. And so I definitely say do your homework, ask questions, because you'll find that as you do that, you'll begin to be more educated about the process. So that way, when you get started, you'll have a better idea of what's going to happen.
Yeah. And I that education is key as well. Like, we can't A lot of times as entrepreneurs and solopreneurs, especially, we want to put our head in the sand and we want to just focus on that thing that we do, whatever that thing is. And that's a hobby. As a business owner, you have to be a lot more well-rounded. And so even though you are hiring a professional, again, it's a partnership. You're hiring a professional because they have the skill set that you don't, but it is still a partnership, and it's your responsibility to do that research and to, have at least a base level understanding of what you're getting into.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I encourage that. And I even show my process on my website. So you can see all the steps that it takes to get to the final destination of your site ready to go, so that you understand that, that's what you're paying for. You're paying for knowledge. You're paying for my staff, our knowledge, our collective knowledge, which is, it's worth it. And you're paying for the experience of going through and having that transparency throughout the whole process, and also getting what you asked for.
Yeah. And as a coach, I work with people to develop luxury brands, and that's a luxury brand experience. That's what that is. And that is, just even looking into your own businesses, knowing those things about yourself is what makes you more marketable, which makes you able to, step up your pricing, all of those different things, because that is much more than whatever that thing in product that you're providing. So,
exactly. And that's the biggest hurdle in business, is knowing your worth and charging it. Most people who go to, start their businesses have had 20, 30 years of experience, but still charge so much less because they figure, well, I'm just new. I'm a new business. And you're not thinking about it in terms of, look at all that I'm bringing to this business.
Right.
And how fast I can do and create results. Yeah.
Right. And I know for me, I'm an experienced person, like in business and life, everything to me is about the experience. And I am, willing to pay for that experience. Like if I know that, okay, we're going to go through this experience, is well thought out, I'm going through this process, look, swipe the card. I'm ready, because I know that it's not going to be a headache for me. It's not going to be a lot of back and forth. As long as I follow the process, I'm going to get the result.
Absolutely.
So what are 3 main points that you would like to emphasize as people are preparing to work with somebody, or just to, even if they're trying to do it themselves, to get their digital marketing in the place that it needs to be?
Sure. So the first thing I would say is, number one, have an idea of who your target audience is. And we can definitely help you with that, because if you tell us it's somebody else and we're looking at what you're doing and what you have done and just listening to what you're saying, sometimes we'll say, well, have you thought about this particular audience? So definitely knowing your audience I think that's the core of all business. You have to know who you're talking to, because your website and all that you do online, your social media, all has to be consistent in speaking to that one person or that one person type, or even group, if it's mothers or mothers of small kids, mothers of teens, whoever it is. A second thing I would say people need to know is, like we talked about before, is just be prepared for that investment. Be prepared that this is not a one-time thing. Social media is month to month, but so should your website. That's something that you need to make sure that you have in your mind. This is a monthly investment. And if you're going to start doing something, be consistent with it, which is my third point. Consistency is very important. We all have times where we need a break, and that's fine, but it takes planning ahead. So let's say you want to do some videos or some TikToks and you want to add those to your site, or you just want to do those to grow your brand. Well, if you start and then you go 3 to 6 months and don't do anything, people aren't going to really believe that you're that dedicated just from that alone. But having that consistency, and if you know, hey, I'm going to need a break, batch some videos, batch some content, and schedule it out. So that you're taking your break, but you're still connecting with your ideal client. And they don't know that you're sitting at home just having a mental, woosah moment for yourself. So it just making sure that once you know who you are, you know who your ideal client is, and you know how to attract them, be consistent in how you connect with them and talk with them, because that's going to make a huge difference in your business and how it grows.
Yeah, I think that is definitely a great point about the consistency.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times the question people ask is how often should I
Mhm.
post, and
Right.
that type of thing. And usually my response to that is, how often will you be consistent? Like, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
of course, the more you post, the more visible you'll be. But if you're gonna, like, binge post, like, this week and then not post again for like months, it's better that you just post once, if you're gonna just,
Exactly.
if
Yeah.
that's what you
Yeah.
can be consistent with.
Right. Because a lot of times people get excited in the beginning, and it is exciting, and you're posting every day and you get people used to seeing that, and then you burn out.
Right.
So yeah, you can do it 3 times a week, and just as long as it's great content, you're not just putting out fluff. And that's something else, is quality is always going to do better than quantity. So if you do a blog post, one really good blog, and you piece it out into several small pieces of content, you can do a video on a part of it or put out a quote from it. That can do a lot for you. But just keep making sure that it's quality content and it's consistent content.
Yeah, I think that that's great advice. Because I know that content is one of those things, like, you say that word and people just start freezing up.
Yeah.
And I think also people don't realize that is not necessarily as daunting as it seems. Like you say, you can take one blog post and that can be so many different things.
Yeah.
Just that one post.
Hmm.
To realize that it's not that you have to be doing a million things. It's
Right.
how strategic you are with what you have in front of you.
Right. And another mistake I've noticed is people are told to spray everywhere, every platform, and you should only be where your ideal client is. If you're
Please
going to
say
do the
that
video,
again. Say it
yes,
again.
you should only be where your ideal client is. If your clients are on LinkedIn, don't fool with Twitter. If you're telling me it's other businesses, then LinkedIn would be your number one place, Instagram, possibly Facebook, but it's important that you have a hierarchy there, that if this is who I want, this is where they are. You don't have to be on every platform, because I'm telling you now, just like trying to post every day, you will burn out so fast.
Yeah. Yeah. I said say that again because I have people, every time a new platform comes out, everybody's like, oh, you need to jump on to
Yeah.
X, Y, and Z. And if that's not where your client is, and then you're just really wasting your time, and then you're wondering why you're getting all of these inquiries from people who are not your client, because you're
Hmm.
posting in places that your client isn't, they're not there.
Yeah, you get low quality leads. Yeah.
Yes. And you're wasting your time posting, but you're also wasting your resources responding to these
Yeah.
leads that are not really valuable leads. So yeah, there's certain platforms that I'm just not on because I know my client isn't there.
Hmm.
And even some of the ones I'm on, because most of my clients actually find me from either networking or Google searches.
Yeah.
So, but I still keep an Instagram presence because it's a visual business.
Hmm.
I'm on LinkedIn because I do a lot of corporate accounts, but a lot of the other platforms I don't bother with because I know that that's not where my ideal client is. So
Right.
definitely a great tip. Like, don't spread yourself so thin. You don't have to be
Mhm.
everywhere.
You're right. It should be comforting to hear that, because it was for me when I first started out, we were just told to spray, until I had a coach say, no, you're wasting your time. You're burning energy for nothing.
Right. I mean, because it's a lot. I mean, there's so many different platforms, and then because of how they're all set up differently, you have to have different types of content. Like if
Right.
you're posting a TikTok, now all of a sudden you got to start making videos, and
Yeah.
this one is this many minutes long, but that one is that many minutes long. Like, that's a lot to keep up with if you don't
Mhm.
have a team that is, dedicated to doing that.
Right. And starting out, you're not going to have that. If you're bootstrapping, that's really when you want to be smart, because you don't have the resources to do everything that a larger person or someone who has an actual team can do. And a lot of times when you see people who are really just doing great things and huge, presence and large followings, they have a team,
Yeah.
but they didn't start off that way. They had to build and get there and invest wisely and invest back into the business so that it can grow to get to where you're seeing now. And so it's a step-by-step process.
And when you mentioned about like, seeing other people, this question just kind of popped into my mind, and I would love your thoughts on it. But paying attention to what when you follow other people, what their objective is. Because what I see a lot is, oh, this person is doing this and I'm going to take on this strategy, but not necessarily paying attention to what that person's objective is, because their objective may be different than what you're trying to accomplish.
Absolutely. I definitely don't recommend that. I think that it's important to do a competitive analysis to some degree when you want to look at someone who may be going after your same target market and kind of looking at what gaps to fill in. If there's something that they're leaving out, then use that as some content for use, things that they are just not paying attention to, maybe a weak spot. That's one thing. But the problem with also looking at other people is you get that comparatitis disease where you start to either feel bad about yourself and start putting yourself down, or you go into total paralysis of I'll never get there. I'll never do, what they're doing. And I've been there in my early days, and it's not a good place to be in. You don't do anything. You just assume that everything you do is going to fail until you have to snap yourself out of it. So I just highly encourage people, if it looks like someone's got it going on and it's perfect, either this is not their beginning. And if it is their beginning, then that means that, they may be doing something really well. But again, just look at it for gaps, and also let's look at it as an inspiration. Don't take it as I'm horrible and I can't never do this. Just look at it and say, well, this person inspires me. Yeah. But I'm going to be also happy with where I am right now. And I'm also going to do what I can here. So you have to really love what you're doing and really love where you are and know that it is a process. This is not a sprint for anybody. Right. They seem like someone's getting there faster. And I saw that one person and I thought, man, we started at the same time and she's doing well. Well, she invested in a high level coach.
Right.
And I didn't. So of course that coach can tell her where to leap over, what potholes to jump over. And so she had an accelerated path because of that. So it wasn't a matter of, oh, she's just better than me. She just made a wise investment.
Right.
And it obviously paid off.
Yeah. And I think that that's key, is when you're looking at somebody, you need to know what their goal is, because their goal may be different than yours.
That's
and
true, yeah.
Two, like you said, what are they doing? Because I see a lot of times people say, well, I'm not reaching what that person is reaching, but are you doing what that person is doing?
Yeah.
That person may, be hitting the ground like 10 times harder. Yeah. But, are you willing to do what they are doing to get the result? Because it's not going to just magically show up.
Yeah. And that person may also have a plan.
Right.
They could be sitting down doing quarterly plans and saying this month or this quarter, I want 20 more clients. So in order to get 20 more clients, I need to have this many leads, put out this many emails, this many videos. So, and that's really the smart thing to do.
Right.
Is every quarter look at your business. So there's a lot of things that they could be doing that's very smart, and they're working smart and they're getting a bigger return from that.
And that's so funny, because my last episode was about planning, and it was is exactly about that. But it's just, you have to know that. Or I see some people who are, like, I know I've had some people tell me, oh, do you follow so-and-so, different balloon celebrities, right? And what they're not realizing is that person's objective is to be a celebrity.
Yes.
If that's your objective, then follow that path.
Right.
But if you're watching somebody who's going in a different direction, You can't
Mm-hmm.
compare your
Yeah.
path to theirs because y'all not even trying to get the same thing. Like that person may be, trying to get likes
Mm-hmm.
because those likes then become monetizable for them. So they're not trying to make money as a balloon artist. They're trying to make
Right.
money as a balloon celebrity. That's two different
Mm-hmm.
paths.
Yes, and that's very true, and that's a very good point because a lot of times these people just monetizing where they are,
Right.
and they just and the balloon, design, for example, could just be a means to that, not really that. So if you're following somebody, if you're planning your whole business by following someone else, well, that in itself is just not a good thing to do anyway. You need to
Right.
know your own plan, your own objectives, right? You don't want to do that
Right.
anyway, because what if they mess up? What if something they do is wrong, and you're sitting here following everything they do?
Right.
Just because they seem successful at it. And like you said, their objective could be this, and you're over here.
Right.
So yeah,
Yeah.
it's important to always just have a plan. What do I want to be? What do I see myself being? What do I love?
Right.
And honor that.
And I think that as you do follow people, you can start to pick and choose those parts and pieces that fit you.
Right.
Once you know that, I think that a lot of times we don't take the time to get to know what it is we want. We
Mm-hmm.
just follow the industry and the industry standards. But once you know what, this is really what I want this to look like, then, that part of that person might resonate with you and this part of this other person. But yeah, that comparison paralysis, I love that term. That is
Yeah,
real.
it's very real.
That is real because you're
Very
like, well,
real.
wait, they did, wait, they did. And I shared on a previous episode, like, there's certain people I don't follow, not because of any other reason, but because we're in a similar space. And I need to, I'm big on isolation in moments of growth and when you're just trying to progress, because you need to have your own clarity of thought.
Right.
So there's some people I just don't follow. I think that they're great, but I don't follow them purely because I know that, that's
Yeah.
really,
Yeah.
right now, I just don't want my thoughts to be influenced by their thoughts. I don't want it to even be an option.
Right. And some people, I mean, even myself sometimes, in the very beginning, I found that when I was doing something, I was actually doing it just fine. And then a coach comes along and says, no, do it this way. And then I found myself getting off course when I
Right.
could have just stayed where I was.
Right. And I think that that's really important, back to that whole idea of identity, because that's why you need to figure out what your identity is, because to me, it made it much easier to work with coaches. It made it so much easier to work with coaches because I knew what my identity was. And so I was able to know when to just, say, okay, yeah, you got me. You got me. You found that spot that I need to work on, versus when to know to kind of give a little pushback. Like, wait, I know, I hear what you're saying, but can I clarify this? Because this is important to me for this reason. Or this is just not how I, like, can we find a happy medium? Like I've had people say, cold calling. Like, I hate talking on the phone. Like, I absolutely hate it. And they're like, oh yeah, you could call. And I was like, no, we're gonna have to find a different way, because that's not gonna happen. Like, because it's just not my comfort space.
Yes.
But I'm, because I know that about myself, I can say, no, I'm not gonna move comfortably in that, but I can take the advice. I just have to adapt it to what works for me. But you have to know that identity.
It's important because, a coach can help you with that. And, coaches like yourself will ask those questions and help you see that, oh gosh, I don't even know what in the world. I'm just following these trends online.
Right.
I don't really know what I want to do or what I want to be. You just want money. But what does that mean?
Right.
Money for what?
Right. And
what?
how and where.
Yeah. So that's where coaching is so important, because you have to define that first before you can
Right,
really
right,
start. You can't really, I can't help you market if you don't have that already determined.
right.
We're just going to
And that's the
be, yeah,
part,
yeah.
that's the part that people, it's like, if I like, I asked you earlier, what is that one thing? That's my one thing. Like, if I could get people to understand that if you sit still and
Hmm.
work on your identity as a business
Right.
and your personal identity, really, if
Hmm.
you sit still and work on that, all the rest of the stuff becomes so much easier.
It does.
It just all starts to fall into place. And all that hard work that you were putting in trying to make things work starts
Hmm.
to dissipate, and it just starts to become easy
Right.
because it's doing the work for you. A good
Mhm.
website, a good digital presence does the work for you.
It does. Mhm.
You're no longer trying to figure out where your clients are coming from. It's
Mhm.
casting a net for you.
Yeah. And it's also a good way to see if you, like you're saying, well, I don't really know where my people are. Well, let's take time to look at the analysis, track your leads. Okay. If all of your bad leads are coming from Facebook, for example, then why be on Facebook? Also, look at your content. If this is your ideal client, is this content really something that's going to really make them stop and stop scrolling?
Right.
Or when they go into Google search looking for your service and they see your website, is this going to make them feel as if you really know how to solve their problem? So it's a lot of times people have to realize that testing and tweaking is a part of the process too. Every month, look at your analytics, look at what insights is telling you. And if it's telling you and showing you the opposite of what you desire, then that means you need to start looking at your whole process, your marketing strategy. And what am I doing? What's going on that's not connecting?
Right.
And when it starts to show you more of people and you start getting more qualified leads, then you can say, okay, great. Now I know I'm doing the right thing. And just keep going from there and keep building at that point. Yeah.
Okay, so I have a question for you. I know it's off the cuff, but
Mhm.
what do you recommend as an amount of time to test something?
For social media, we say 3 months, because a lot of times I have clients who either have not been on social media or they have just gotten so busy. So it's been a couple of years. So I'd say a good bank of 3 months of insights will show you, okay, this is where we were, this is where we started, this is who we were attracting, and now here's where we are now. And you see growth, you see, how many followers, you also look at those followers. Are these the people that I want? Am I looking to get women who are 35 to 45? Or was I looking for an older type of, female? So, I mean, it really will answer a lot of questions for you. And that's why I always say don't skip that. And every platform has its own analytics. Look at that and ask yourself, because these are the people who are actually digesting your content. And if you're not reaching those people, then I say go back and look at your content. But yeah, 3 months for social, and then for websites, look at your Google Analytics,
Okay.
and it will tell you really detailed information about the traffic coming to your site. And you can
Okay.
look at that and track it over 3 months.
Yeah, I just wanted that 3 months. I wanted that time frame out there because
Yeah,
you know it's not working. And I'm like, well, how long you been doing it?
right. And
Oh,
then
well,
yeah,
I started in October. It's November 1st. Is like
exactly. And
what
and that
like
doesn't yeah. And just because we say 3 months doesn't mean you stop. It's test and tweak time
right,
at that point. I mean, if you're not growing followers, then obviously that's a problem there. But looking within to see, okay, what adjustments need to be made? Because I hear that too. Well, I tried it, somebody didn't do it, didn't do it right. Well, how long did you work with that person? Did they know exactly what you needed to do? Did you communicate that? Because I have to look at both client and the professional,
right,
when someone comes to me and tells me what someone else did. Because it's possible that, either they didn't know what they were talking about, that can be true, know what they were doing, or did you give them what they needed to make your whole campaign successful?
right, right,
And so it can be both and or.
right. And then, and again, how long did you do it? Because it's
Exactly.
never long. Like
That too, yeah.
it's never long. And it's always,
Yeah.
I'm always like, or people are ready to quit the business. Well, I'm not seeing any
Yeah.
results. And I'm like, well, how long have you been in business?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I
Yeah.
started in the summer. And I'm like, so 5 minutes ago, like literally 5 minutes ago.
Yeah. Social media is a long-term strategy. It's not a quick hit. It's not something that you do for a little bit, you stop and come back to. It has to be a long process. You have to look at it that way. Now you can accelerate it with ads. You can do other things, Google ads or Facebook ads, but it's something that you are looking at building a long track record of content, of visibility, and consistency for your business. People will look at your posts, they will read it, but they also want to see how long has this person been out there? Can I
Right.
trust them? Do I
Right.
even like them? So we all talk about know, like, and trust. That means something. So, staying on theme and staying on topic with your content and making sure that you're talking only to that one person is important. And you may not see things for several months. And then all of a sudden you'll get people, oh, yeah, I've been watching. I really a fan of yours. Can you come talk? Can you come do a talk for me over here? Can you come to my conference? Where you're now exposed to a number of idol clients now, and you're in a position of authority.
Right.
But a lot of times that's how I've gotten opportunities, just from being consistent on social
Right.
and building relationships offline. That's too. But I'm just saying, don't look at it as, oh, well, 3 months, it didn't seem to be working. No, why didn't it work? And now let's recalibrate and make it work.
Right. And I mean, I think in this age of, I mean, you know, it's great that we have such access to technology, but with that comes the fact that, people are, just jumping out there with businesses.
Yeah.
So, like you said, the know, like, and trust, how do I know that you're really a real business? How
Mhm.
do I know that if you're not showing me consistency, or if you're asking me to invest a large amount of money with you,
Mhm.
and large is relative. So, for one person
Yeah.
that might be thousands, to another person that may be hundreds. But how do
Mhm.
you ask me to do that when I'm not sure if you're going to be around in 6 months?
Exactly. And then you mentioned something about the person behind the business and who are you? Personalization is something that I am big on for social and for web. Stock photos are great, but you should not focus on that. If you can do 30 to 60-second tip videos, if you can do, hey, I'm out networking with the chamber, I'm a board member over here. Here's me, networking or with one of my clients, or things like that. That goes a long way. And just try it for yourself. Try going a week or so, just posting some selfies with something very inspirational, something impactful to share with your audience. Try sharing pictures of you out at an event, a networking event, or yourself speaking or giving some type of seminar, what have you, and watch the difference between those posts and the engagement you get there versus the ones where you were just posting something generic. And you'll see the difference, that people want to see you and not just, you know, tips and stock photos and whatnot. That's not who you are. Now, yes, it's a time in place for those things, but it shouldn't be the main driver of
No,
your
and
identity online.
I totally, totally agree with
Mhm.
you on that. And for me, that was a big game changer in the balloon business,
Mhm.
because I was like, the art speaks for itself. I'm gonna be behind the
Yeah.
scenes. Um, and to be totally transparent, most of my clients don't look like me. So I didn't know how that was going to play out. And
Yeah.
I was challenged by I went to a networking event, and this lady was on the panel, and she talked about coming from behind the scenes of her business. And she was a Black lady. She spoke about all of the things that were in my head.
Mhm.
She addressed every single thought that was in my head. And I was just like, oh, okay, well, she
Mhm.
told me, she didn't even know she was talking to me, but she told me.
Yeah.
And I changed that. And it created a much greater relationship between me and my clients.
Yeah.
And what I've noticed, you know, as far as like checking, you know, your analytics and everything, when I post personal photos, I get way more engagement
Mm-hmm.
than when I post anything else. You know,
Right.
when we go on vacation, I make sure I post at least one vacation pic, you know, of me and my family together. Those are the ones that get the most engagement because people feel like they know you when
Yeah.
they see you and they see you in real life and not just as a, just
Yeah.
that
Business.
person.
Yeah. Like that's, you're just kind of putting out information. So, and that's something that I coach my clients on too. I'm like, before we get started, that's even in my intake. Do you agree to give me information that speaks to the people behind the business? It's great that we're going to share a lot of amazing information, but do you agree to also provide this? Because it's important that they know in the very beginning that this is what's going to really help you grow faster and help you build more engagement with people who are actually going to use you, potential clients.
Right.
Mhm.
And, I've spoken about this before. It makes you're no longer interchangeable.
Yes.
So they're not searching for whatever the product or service that you provide. They're
Mhm.
searching for you.
Exactly.
So they, when it's transactional, as soon as your price goes higher than another person's price, they're going to switch to the next person. But when it's personal, when they feel like they're
Amen.
personally connected to you as a business and you have, we're going to bring it back to partnership, you have that partnership, then
Right.
it's a different level of connection and loyalty.
Yes, absolutely. And that's why the keystone of business is, outside of know your client, is build, know, like, and trust
Yes.
immediately. Yeah.
That is beautiful. Okay, so I'm going to let me just make sure we're not missing anything really, really good. I think we touched all the points, but I know we're, pushing up on that hour. So I'm gonna do our wrap up questions.
Mhm.
Well, no, before we do that, because you started off talking about maintenance.
Yes.
And I don't want to leave that without its due because when you spoke about maintenance, the thing that came to me, and that I think that's because I'm currently dealing with a situation with my vehicle, what spoke
Mhm.
to me was, with your vehicle, when
Mhm.
if you are doing your regular oil changes and this and that and everything else, then that lessens the times that you have serious maintenance issues. Some issues with your car are purely just from not doing regular maintenance.
Right.
And that's the same thing with your website. You let it go too long, then it's a major repair as opposed to just, something routine.
Absolutely. I mean, like I said, when I tell clients, when I sign off, I give them a training module. And one of the first things on there outside of change your password is, please do not disregard maintenance, because it is something that's going to keep your website. Number one, it's going to keep it secure. I don't know if you've noticed, but just in the past, I mean, we've had several heightened security incidents online. Malware is at all-time high. Um, on Instagram and even LinkedIn, Facebook, you have to, I recommend multi-factor authentication on a side note, but security, number one, is the main reason for maintenance. You have someone who is keeping their eye on your website, your moneymaker. They're making sure it's functioning. They're making sure it's not compromised. There was someone I heard of that had Viagra ads all over his website,
Oh,
and he didn't
goodness.
even know it, because someone came in and they, hacked his website and they just took over it. Another thing is, it makes sure, because, if your WordPress website, you have plugins, and plugins are like apps on an iPhone. They help your website with different functionality. Well, they also have updates every month. WordPress itself updates. So you want to make sure that someone is doing that, because if you don't do that, then that's going to affect the long-term performance of your website, and it can also affect the security of your website. So it is something that requires maintenance. It's not a one and done project. And I always tell clients that it's not, because when you call me and, hey, I'm seeing this and that on my site, this is, I'm getting phishing emails. Well, because it has not been watched over. It has not been looked at. And I go in and I'm like, they didn't change the password. I'm still able to even go in. I'm like, okay, please change this password and don't use the same one on other platforms either. Make this special for this website. So, that's something that, it may seem like, oh, it's not a big deal, but the long-term benefits to the business is that this website is there to bring you leads. It's there to educate your audience. It's there to give you your best face forward to a worldwide market. So why would you not want that to be well taken care of every month? Just like you pay car insurance, home insurance, and other insurance, you should also have an insurance on something like your website, because that is a major investment.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a problem until it's a problem.
Exactly. And then it's going to cost you. You're going to get charged per hour when you could have been paying per month. You could have called me, Charique, I'm seeing this, boom, I go in, and that's it.
And then, I'm just thinking about just the downtime as a business owner as well, because, now, you're potentially down while this is being, resolved.
Yeah, depending on how bad it is. Yeah.
It's, just, I just wanted to I wanted to make sure we touch back on that, because I think we don't think about all of those things as important, but
Yeah.
Again, like you said, just like insurance is a great analogy. I mean, hopefully you don't have to use your insurance.
I know. Nobody wants to use it.
But it's good to have it
Exactly.
because if it comes up,
Right.
you don't want to be sitting there lost and confused. And I mean, also just that person that's on the maintenance plan, their problem can get solved so much faster. Yours is going to take a while. Yours is going to,
Yeah.
it's
Because I've heard that. Yeah.
because you're going to have to undo a year's worth of wrong
Yeah.
to
And I
get it
told them
right.
that I can fix your problem, but first I have to go in and make sure that your website can even maintain what I have to do. Can it
Right.
even, is it even strong enough? Because I have to go make sure first it's updated. And is it really in the condition to where I can even do what you're asking me to do? And that's going to cost them more money because it's going to take me more time.
Yeah. And most of y'all already start with y'all not tech savvy. So stop trying to say you're going to do somebody's job that you don't know how to do. If you're
Right.
not, that's not your skill set, and it's okay. Let somebody who
Yeah.
knows what they're
Yeah.
doing do it and make sure it's done the right way.
Right. Because your cousin or friend, whoever, they have their own priorities and responsibilities, and they can't just come in every time something happens to your site because, eventually you're going to be like, well, I need to get paid for this. Or they're just not going to take it as seriously as you will.
Yeah, and I can attest to that totally. When I first had my site set up, it was a coworker that set everything up and had had it on their server and all the stuff like this. And years later, I'm not at that job anymore, blah, blah, blah. Everything's going fine, what have you. And something happened. I'm out of town. My site goes down.
Oh boy.
And I'm like, oh, my site is down. Like that is like the world has ended. I'm like SOS and I'm out of town. So it's like I'm also like, trying to figure stuff out on the cell phone. It's just like a nightmare. And I'm reaching out to him, but I mean, this is not his website. This is not his top priority. And, he's being helpful. Not, I'm not saying that, but not on the level that I felt like it was urgent. And so once that was resolved, I was just like, nope, I got to get ownership of all of this.
Yes. Oh my God.
I have to transfer all of this somewhere else because this is not going to work.
Yes. And that made me, I thought about something too, because I'll have clients who come to me and they don't know their hosting company. They don't know anything because the previous person didn't disclose any of this information to them. So I have to first, before I can begin the work, go into an investigation to find out who is your hosting company and to help them gain access of their own account.
Right.
So it's important, even if you have no plans of ever touching this information, but just having it tucked away somewhere in the event something happens, you can call me or someone else and say, well, here is access to my hosting. Here is access to my website. And we can get right to it without having to do that investigation.
Right.
It's just important to know that.
Right. Yeah. It's basically like you gave the keys to your house to somebody else and you don't even
Pretty
have
much.
keys. You got to call them every time you want to go inside.
Exactly. And they may have, I know of someone who doesn't even do web design anymore, and the client had to go and just get a whole fresh new website. That's extra money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But I'm gonna bring it full circle and make sure you're working with someone like Charique so that you're not in that situation.
Yes.
Because they've already thought out a client experience that is beneficial for you, that you have what you need, and that you're going to be taken care of in the long run.
Absolutely.
So that's definitely important to me, like, is who you're working with. Take time and figure that out and go with quality. Don't worry about I think a lot of times we get too caught up on dollars.
Yeah.
And we don't invest in quality. That quality is going to make you money, because I will attest to you that your website is a moneymaker. Sometimes we think about we only think about the things that we directly see a return of investment on immediately. And we don't realize that those other things are valuable.
Yes.
Those other things are one, can be making money for you, but also can be making time for you. So
you can't put a dollar amount on time.
not at all.
Time is so
but
important.
Like I was sharing with one of my coaching clients, because I was giving her some ideas of some things to do to generate some business. And I was just like, I have all these wealth of ideas of things to do to generate business that I never get an opportunity to do, because the leads are like just pouring in. I can't take them all. I refer them to other people, so it's doing that work. It's worth that investment, because you will get that money back double fold.
Absolutely. You
all
sure
right,
will.
So we're gonna
Oh,
go ahead.
I'm disagreeing with you.
Oh.
I can't say it enough. Yeah.
But so we're going to do the wrap-up questions. So my first question is, what are your favorite pajamas?
I'm wearing them, and these are my favorites because I'm one of those people who like to get under the covers, get covered up, and then turn the fan on. So and make it nice and cold. So it's a comfortable, very cozy pair of pajamas that I love to wear. They're holiday, but these are, I wear these year long. I don't care if it's Christmas. I bought them Christmas time last year, but I wear them all the time. And they're just so comfortable.
There are no rules with pajamas. You can do whatever you want. I have said so. Okay, finish this sentence. My time freedom allows me to
spend time with my boys and practice self-care.
Awesome. And those are two beautiful ones. Okay, so what is your best advice for anyone that is seeking the profits in pajamas lifestyle?
The first thing I suggest that you do is make a plan. Well, like we talked about, know what you want from your business and have a vision of, what this looks like. Know your clients, and whatever you do, be consistent. So it's better to start small and grow from there than to start large and go to small. So find a consistent schedule, be realistic with yourself, and over time, you will see benefits and growth.
Yeah, I like that. I really like that a lot. And I think that over time, it's a long game. Yeah, business is a long game. It's not instantaneous. And a lot of times when you make instantaneous decisions, you hinder your long-term growth.
Yes, it can.
You really need to think about, the long term and the future of the business. So I really like that. Yes. So tell the audience how they can get in touch with you, how they
Mhm.
can work with you. Is there any particular product that you're currently working on?
Sure. So I'm on LinkedIn for Charique L. Richardson, MBA. I doubt you'll find another Charique. If you do, look for my picture, but it should be pretty easy to find me there. I'm at Digital Marketing Works on Instagram and on Facebook under Digital Innovation Media Group under my business name. My website is Digital Innovation, M as in Mary, G as in go.com. And you can find me there. And on that website, you can also make an appointment for a digital marketing consultation, and we can talk. We can talk about what you're going to be asked some questions, of course. So I do work with a certain type of client, as mentioned before, high growth small businesses, professional businesses, larger nonprofits. And I've also had the pleasure of working with colleges and universities as well. So definitely, if you're in that market, legal, medical, I would love to talk with you, and you can go to my site and make an appointment.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. And I will share all your contact information in the show notes so that it'll be easy for them to find you. I want to thank you so much for coming on and sharing with us. I know that, digital marketing is just one of those things that it can be intimidating to people. It can, it just can take on its own life, but I feel like you really made it digestible and really help the audience to really understand what they need to be doing and where they need to go with it.
Yeah, that's what we love to do. We love to just make sure that it's not rocket science. We don't make it rocket science. We make it relatable and make it fun.
That is absolutely beautiful. So you guys, if you are in Charique's market, please reach out to her because, as you can see, it's going to be a pleasurable experience to work with her. And I know I've heard so many horror stories about people's experiences, but it's just, listening to you talk about the process. And, when we talked earlier, you kind of spelled it out a little bit more. I just, it just feels like a nice little hug. Like, it's going to be easy. It's going to be okay, so, and
Absolutely.
that's how the process should be. So
Yes.
thank you so much again for being a guest. You guys, I'm going to have the contact information in the show notes, as well as if you are in the market for a coach to help you with the part that happens before you get to Charique, which is figuring out what you want, figuring out how to fit that business into your daily life, figuring out who that ideal client is. If that's where you are, then you can reach out to me at coachdannyd.com. Again, that's going to be in the show notes, and I will see you guys next week.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Profits in Pajamas podcast. I hope you got some great tips to start working with ease. Want to stay connected? Follow me at Your Workflow on Instagram. For more information about building your luxury brand, register for my upcoming luxury brand workshop at coachdannyd.com.